Alright, the first thing I want to say is look at this shirt. It's just such a silly shirt. This is why I'm single though, but it's such a silly shirt. Welcome back, friends. Lost Scarf here, and it's time for a vlog. We haven't had a vlog in forever. So today's episode is called "Why Have We Not Done Vlogs?" The short answer is we're at a car. The short answer is we're out of practice, so we're out of rhythm. Where it's just like we did it every week, and then I burnt out, and we stopped for like a month or three, and that's what happened. On top of that, of course, is Jinx has been busy. I've been busy, but I've been busy for the wrong reasons. I've been busy in that I've just been watching a lot of anime. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Like, there is no excuse. The best way to put it is I've just been watching a lot of anime. Now, the truth of the matter is, of course, this channel is for fun. It's a hobby, and I guess I just didn't want to do this hobby for a while. But it's something we've built that I don't want to give up on either, so I need to work on that. But it's also a question of where are our priorities now. I'm not even, like, a parent. We're dating, and I'm like, well, I don't have enough time for everything. It's like, no, I have a lot of time to do whatever. I just got to decide what I want to do. I just have too many projects. I haven't drawn in a month, and I got to work on that because I like drawing. And just a bunch of other things. The big priority is the podcast. The Kirby podcast has gotten a lot of attention. It's getting thousands of listens and views now. Mostly listens, not really views. It's getting hundreds of views, thousands of listens. It's getting crazy. And so that's taking priority. So I'm going to get to work on that. And I think I said before, I want to go up to like episode 20 on the podcast on the YouTube side before I go back to the podcast side and do a new episode of the anime. At the same time, I've been doing the games. I have been slowed down by Kirby Dream Buffet right now because it's a bit of a slog to get to 100%, and I want to 100% it before I do a review on it. That's taking a bit. That's just, I gotta grind that out. That's it. Other things, like I have like 40 episodes of Hollow Knight for the side channel. And it's like, do I want to spend the time doing that? Like, no one watches the side channel. That was just there because I just like making LPs. It's like, well, maybe I just stop. Or really, if that ever is going to come out, it's going to take forever. And then there's 140 episodes of Elden Ring for the side channel. And then there's going to be like Spider-Man, because I'm doing that too. So I don't know. As far as main channel LPs, I was considering Live a Live, but I just haven't had time to play it. There's just so much going on. And we do need to do a new voice LP, because I like practicing the voices. And it's been a couple months. The Phoenix Ancestor game, which we've been doing voice LP every weekly, has been nice. But at some point, I want to get on another one because we're still a couple more weeks away before I have to do the next episode of that. I think I have to double check what episode we're on. There's like 50 episodes. It's gonna be a little bit, as far as I know. Still, usually it's a year for that whole thing. But I do want to do another voice LP. I just gotta find what I want to do. But I also really want to put at least Kirby gameplay footage on the side channel. I feel like I need to... can I get them? I don't know where the originals are anymore. Do I have to remake them? Maybe I should have just made a Kirby gameplay channel. And I may still do that. A fourth channel? I may still do that just so we all have it in one place. And aside from the newer games, 100%ing all of them again wouldn't be too hard to do if I don't have the footage. Well, I have the footage, it's just I'd have to edit it all. Yeah, I just have to edit it all. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I have all the raws still. I have all the raws, but I could redo a bunch of it with a different level of enthusiasm, because those LPs back then were just me getting the footage. It wasn't me just going like, oh man, this is fun, kind of thing. I just like doing LPs. I like the fun of that. So I don't want to stop doing that, and that's why I still stream. I've been streaming less, though, because, again, I'm watching too much anime. I literally spent at least 20 hours watching Overlord. Overlord's really good. And not just Overlord, like all the side stuff, and then reading all the stuff that's in the books that I missed. So yeah, that was a very unhealthy time, just sitting on my ass for 2 days straight. But it was fun, so I don't know. I don't have regrets for it either. But yeah, the reason why the vlogs have been so infrequent is because really I keep forgetting to do them. And if I don't do them early enough, then Jinx can't edit them, because Jinx has a life. So that's how that is. There are so many things in recent times that I could talk about. I could talk about the Queen's death, and oh my god, how Twitter has reacted to that is very interesting. I have not seen that many people sad about it. I have mostly just seen people dunking on the Queen, which is such a weird thing. Like, everyone's just like, oh, she's dead, let's dunk on her now, and it's just so weird. I guess because, like, a death of a person is when everyone's reminded of their existence at the same time, so they can all bring out their opinions. But that is one of the things that is always odd about, it just feels weird talking behind someone's back and talking crap about the dead is so weird. I don't know, I just find it odd. Because, I don't know, like, this is the thing. Now we're going to get philosophical. Not philosophical, but we're going to talk about a bigger topic. We all know, or we forget, or we just didn't realize that for a lot of us, our enjoyment comes from the suffering of others. It comes from, my phone is made by people in sweatshops. A lot of things that I own are made by people in sweatshops who make very little money, and they're terrible conditions, and I get to enjoy these great fruits of their labor by paying them with the fruits of my labor. By paying for these things with the fruits of my labor. And it's like, what can you do about that, really, besides just talk about it? That is something that I think is crippling for many people in general. Is like, well, there's nothing they can really do, so there's like a level of suffering everyone's just okay with. That's very unfortunate. Like, you can only feel guilty for that for so long and for so much. There's a point where you just have to move on and go about your life. Which is interesting about the human condition is, we just adapt to whatever. There's a point where we're like, this is the new normal, and keep going. And that's kind of why we are doomed to have a lot of bad situations as well, because we keep treating worse things as the new normal, instead of trying to claw it back to a better time. The problem with that is different people have different standards of what that is. Because I just realized I said that as if I was saying something like MAGA. Because when you think about it, they're like, the new normal is strange and annoying, and they don't like it, and they want to go back to this better time. And this better time makes no sense to me, because this is a more racist time. I want to go back to the 50s, a more racist time, a time when people just were not allowed to be with the people they want to be with. And you can take that in multiple ways. That is race mixing, and also homosexuality, and trans, and bisexuality. Just all the sexualities, really, that weren't just straight and white. It was just bad for everyone else. They want to go back to that time. And it just feels racist. It feels very hateful to want to go back to such a time. It was a simpler time. It was not a simpler time. All times are complicated in some way. They have just progressed to a different point. And I get the things that people scoff at, because it gets kind of silly, and it's just unfettered extremism that leads to just people just not taking things seriously. And that happens, and Jinx hates when I say both sides, but it really does happen on both sides, because I'm going to get not necessarily in trouble, but for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, there's more than two genders, okay, fine. But then someone's like, well, there's actually like 58 genders. I'm like, okay, you've lost me. Like, alright, okay, pal, okay, alright, look, I'm okay with the fluidity of it all, alright. Don't just give it a big number for no reason. You can just say, like, there's just a bunch of genders, and I'm good with that. Nebulous, I think, is fine, but going like, there's an infinite number of genders, like, oh, okay. You've lost me, because now you've made it like something that is just not concrete anymore. And people do like concrete. Especially people who are, I will say on the conservative side of things, they're more for concrete things. The problem is, because of that, I feel like they do close their mind, and I do try to be not so close-minded. They do close their mind to concepts and ideas to their detriment. For me, I feel like, yes, gender's a construct, but it doesn't need to be that complicated. I think people are just people at the end of the day. And the shorthand of having a few pronouns just makes life easier for everyone. Like, I do like that they, them exist as a catch-all. And I should fight people more on they, them, because conservatives are like, well, they, them, it's really weird to use it not as a plural. I'm like, no, it was a singular for centuries. And then at some point in the last 50 years, we decided it was a plural. And you know what? All those years add up a lot more than just the last 50 years. So Don't look at me weird for correcting you on that. Obviously, I'm venting about work. But I feel like there's a point when, not necessarily it's progressing too far, but having an idea too far gone that's just dumb, and it sounds dumb, and so you lose your audience. Or you don't lose your audience, you lose your potential audience. You just lose people, or you just gain enemies, is another way to put it. And this is the thing that I hate about, again, I'll say both sides, because this is what happens. Something that was brought up was very interesting. That is, we do not know what the actual normal is, because the entire point of social media and news and all that is to show you the extremes to get a reaction out of you. The entire point, of course, is engagement. You will not be engaged by, oh, hey, the stop sign still works. Like, you won't be engaged with that. You'll be engaged by the stop sign. Oh, we just found the stop sign has been hidden by a bush, and the police keep pulling people over and giving them tickets. That's not cool. They should be shaving that bush back. Things like that. That's actually still pretty mundane, but I gave a random example. Extremes get attention. Extremes get clicks. And both parties are definitely guilty of that. But one is more insane than the other. And that's the right, obviously. Everything with Trump right now is effing insane. And every conservative who's okay with that blows my mind. Because he's breaking norms in a very bad way that is dangerous for our democracy. Your party's not more important than the freaking democracy. Jesus Christ. Like, Trump should be burning for this crap. Like, people are like, what if it was Biden? He should be burning for this crap too. It doesn't matter, party lines or whatever. Someone does the bullshit he's done, they should be burning for this shit. That is the truth of the matter. I fucking hate this sports team bullshit in politics, as I've said many times. And so, by the way, just looking, like, I like how this whole image just makes no damn sense. Like, I'm purposely wearing, like, these sunglasses to be, like, one type of person, and I've got all this cute stuff on, and everything in the background that completely negates that. And that's kind of something I just enjoy. I just like being different, I will say. But it does, not necessarily dilute, but it does, like, mess with my message. It's like, how can you take a guy seriously? It's like, why do you take anyone seriously, to be honest? Why do you take politicians to be seriously? Why do you take businessmen to be serious? I've said this before, I've ranted about this before. And by the way, this is why the vlogs need to happen more often as well, because the point of these vlogs is therapy and by venting, and because I'm just a person who just sometimes needs to talk. Therapy by venting, and I think the secondary thing is, like, when I get more philosophical, it helps me just think. Because I think there's a point where people just don't think enough. They don't ruminate on their thoughts enough. And the vlog helps me with that. That's why I like doing the Why series. Everyone knows they can't trust a politician. And everyone knows you can't trust a businessman. And yet somehow, the combination of both is the messiah of the Republican Party. It is very odd. And what I keep finding, because I was talking about extremes and the not knowing normal, is when I talk to plenty of Republicans in real life, they're like, yeah, that bullshit with Trump is not right, but they're still going to vote the next Republican in anyway, instead of, I don't know, I feel like the Republican Party should be punished for going as far as Trump. But they won't, because there's a lot of stupid people out there. They're stupid for many reasons. One is they just like the character of Trump. Another is because it's still their sports team. It's like being a fan of the Browns. Still. The long-suffering fans of Browns. The Republican Party is going in a direction that makes no sense. They don't stand for anything besides, I guess, Christian values at this point. I don't know what else they stand for, because they definitely don't stand for states' rights. Trump did so much federal oversight. Are you kidding me? No, oversight, overreach. He did so much federal bullshit. He didn't really believe the states. No, he just did a bunch of federal bullshit. That is not Republican shit. Republicans are about states' rights. Apparently not anymore. Republicans are about the opposite of what Democrats are doing. That is what's annoying about this whole thing. The Republican side of things and their extremes that are really dumb is just being absolutely stupid. Actually stupid. Like everything MTG does and Bobbert does is so transparently stupid. I can't believe they're that idiotic. I can only believe that they're clowns who know they make a lot of money by being clowns. And they're okay with the fact that history will look on them unkindly because they live in the present. And who cares about history? I can only believe that's who they are. That they are grifters who are fine with having stains upon their names for all of history. I can only believe that because having a nice house is better. And I get that. I don't agree with it, though. The truth of the matter, this is something that also philosophically people need to understand, is understanding other people's viewpoints is not an endorsement. It just means you understand that viewpoint, and that's it. Because venting about work again, apparently Colin Kaepernick did a documentary where he was talking about how football players are kind of being treated like slaves, how they're being evaluated for their physicality and that stuff, and with the combines and all that. And my bosses at work are like, how do you get that view? I'm like, I see it. I see the angle he's taking. I don't agree with that angle, but I see the angle. And like, they just can't fathom seeing that angle. Like, well, you're all white for one, I guess, but I don't know how you don't see that angle. Like, the whole idea of black people have been bred over the last couple hundred years to be physically stronger and faster and all this stuff. And that is still a thing now with the combine and all that with sports, where you're just trying to just pick the cream of the crop still. Like, I get that angle, I just don't agree that angle is correct. But I get how someone can make that leap. And Kaepernick's making that leap. It's a shame all that stuff with Kaepernick. He did not do it correctly. At the end of the day, I think he did things poorly. There are things he could have done better. But I think he would have been crucified no matter what he did. But I think his message could have been a little cleaner for sure. But at the end of the day, now, in the present, I feel less, what's the word here, like, okay with things anyway? I think Uvalde was the last straw for me, even after BLM and all that stuff where the cops were pretty shitty. I think Uvalde was the last straw because that was a line that I just cannot believe happened in that. I was already... Blue Lives Matter is stupid. I was already All Lives Matter is stupid. Black Lives Matter means something. But it got watered down. But I didn't actually hate the police until Uvalde. That happening was absolutely disgusting. The entire point... Failing to protect those kids is so frustrating. It's the amount of time they took to get to that point. It's just that whole thing is very frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. Let me bitch about my boss one more time. Of course, this gets me in trouble. He confided in me that his wife was voting for Trump in 2020 because she was scared of the police getting defunded. That was never going to happen. That was never ever going to happen. I don't know how anyone could have bought that bullshit. They got even more funding since Biden's become president. Are you kidding me? It's not how this works. Though I do, I agree that police need better training, and if it takes more money, fine. But also, they need to be better at spending their money. Because the problem is the police are also just a big resource for the military to sell their gear, and it's very not great. And also just there's a lot of wasteful spending that's done in any company, in any group, and the police are definitely wasteful spenders. But who's a bigger perpetrator of that? The military. The Build Back Better bill should have been a unanimous vote, because infrastructure is important, and we've known about it for at least 10 years. That infrastructure's been getting really bad. And the states where infrastructure is the worst are red states. They have it the worst infrastructure-wise. And it's just getting worse. And Republicans were like, nope, we will not sign for any of this infrastructure stuff. Jesus Christ. They found a lot of excuses. They're like, well, this thing would not be good. Those things actually, the things they were against would help the infrastructure. Because Biden was going towards more future-proofing of things with those ideas. And so it's very frustrating that they're like, no, we don't want any of this. And then, of course, the Joe Manchin BS as well. Our country needs its infrastructure to be upgraded and improved on, and it's not. And it's, again, it has been this way for at least as far as I've been alive to notice it, that the poor whites keep voting to their detriment. They very much are cutting their nose to spite the face. They keep doing it. It keeps happening over and over again. And it's like, at the end of it, it's like, I guess you guys deserve what you guys want. You guys deserve this shit. Unfortunately, the rest of us are stuck with it as well. It's very frustrating. It really is. I would like to see a better party come out of the Republican Party, but it's in such a stupid state. I don't know. So the problem with the Republicans is they've latched themselves onto this very stupid wagon, and it's very frustrating. And it's just because all the people in power just don't give a shit. Like, they're still making their money, and that's what it is at the end of the day. McConnell will go down as a big piece of shit at the end of the day. He really will. I don't think he doesn't know that. Like, he's done some shitty shit. A lot of those guys are going to go down as just terrible people. The left, their problem is they're just a giant group, and so there's a lot of going in different directions going on with them because they're so much bigger. Like, there are more people on the Democratic side of things than the Republican side of things, but because of gerrymandering and a lot of other things, Republicans are represented a lot more than they should be. If you just do the numbers, no, there should be a lot more representation by the Democrats. They should be doing so much better, but they don't because of disenfranchisement and a lot of things like that. But also because there's a lot of infighting as well. And no one protests votes more than Democrats, honestly. I really feel that way. Because you've got the progressives, you got the moderates, and you got everything in between, and they just are pulling in so many different directions, because like our numbers are so much more, so we can make bigger leaps and bounds and progression and things like that. And every now and then there's just some really dumb ideas that come out of the Progressive Party. And also really lame ideas that come out of the moderates as well. We are completely capable of great lengths of change, and yet they don't happen. I'm not even going to get started on of course, the Supreme Court and Roe v. Wade and all that. Not even get started on that. That's so much bullshit. And so the Democrats are right in the move they're doing right now, which is they're trying to future-proof gay marriage. They're like, yeah, we need to codify that so that the Supreme Court can't get rid of that because they are making those moves. And Republicans are like, we don't need to do that. That's not going to happen. Just like Roe v. Wade wasn't going to get overturned. So, where the Democrats dropped the ball with Roe v. Wade was them and the Republicans never thought that was going to get overturned. Ever. They thought that was going to be a talking point for the rest of their lives that they could use to raise money. And then the Supreme Court went, no, we can do it. We're going to do it. And that's what happened. Because the projections were, for at least the whole last 2 years, was Republicans would take power back, but now because Roe v. Wade has been overturned, there's a lot of galvanized Democrats now. And so now it's up in the air. And it's kind of really annoying how that is, how we can project that things are going to happen because of whatever, and they usually hold true. Except for Trump. Trump was such an amazing exception in the most horrible way possible. I've been all over the place since I haven't talked in a while, so my brain is just jumping all over the place. So I will stop now. I try to be a fair person, which is why I do both sides in, but I have to then temper that with the fact that Republicans are just so much worse. They really are. They're so much worse, and it's frustrating. Born and raised a Republican. And it was an interesting point a friend of mine made was, because he's a Republican, well, he's a moderate left now. He's like, his argument is, I never changed. The party went to the extreme right. I never changed at all. They went so far right, I'm moderate left now. I'm like, that's how I feel too. I'm wondering how many people actually feel that way. Because I don't think the Republican Party represents anything anymore. They keep going backwards on what they say they are. So that's it. That is the vlog. I had fun. Hope you've been watching. And I'll try to do another one next week. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.